In this video, I'll show you how to use the table tagging tool in PDFix Desktop to tag your data tables. Of course, I could also select content on the page and then use the Tag as Table feature, but for today's video, I want to show you how to use the table tool as it appears in the toolbar at the top of PDFix Desktop. So first, go ahead and select the table tool, and then I've selected the paragraph tag in the tag tree that I want my table to appear in the tag tree after this paragraph tag. Then in the physical view, I'm just going to highlight the table on the page, and PDFix is going to detect where the cells are for the data table, the cells, the data cells and the rows and so on and so forth. And as we can see for this first table here, it did a really good job in recognizing what content should be in its own cell, and in fact with the header for fruits and vegetables spanning across the entire table, and for animal protein, it even picked up on that as well. There's really not anything I need to do to adjust this, so then I can just go ahead and hit the checkbox to tag this as a table. Of course, if I needed to make adjustments to the table, I can do that, and I will show you that on the next table on the next page. Go ahead and hit Tag as Table, and our table tag appears in the tag tree. So I've got a bunch of empty paragraph tags left behind in the tag tree that used to contain the content that's now in our data table. I'm going to go up to my tags actions, and I'm going to run a custom action that deletes empty tags or tags that contain just empty spaces in them. Go ahead and run that, and so now we just have our table tag, and we got rid of all of those empty paragraph tags. Now, of course, the next step is to check our table and to make sure that everything has really been tagged correctly, make any further adjustments as needed. For that, I'm going to go ahead up to my toolbar and this time choose the tag tool to be able to select just tags as opposed to selecting the content. Then when I highlight, for example, the cells in the top row of my table, it shows me in the tag tree where those cells are. They're all marked as THs already, and I can verify in the properties that their scope has been set to column. Similarly, I can select the cells going down the left column for my row headers, and PDFix will show me in the tag tree where all of those THs are. I can verify that they are THs, and in fact, I can see that the scope has been set to row. Similarly, I'll select fruits and vegetables and verify that that's in a TH. The scope is set to row, and in this case, the column span is set to 8 because this cell takes up the entire row. There's 8 columns in my table, so the column span is set to 8. And similarly for animal protein, I can select that on the page. It takes me to the TH tag in the tag tree. Again, the column span is set to 8, and the scope for the TH is set to row. So the table from a tagging aspect is good to go. It's all set. I probably would want to do one more step, which would be to link the data cells to their row and column headers and so on. I'm not going to go over that in this video, which is intended just to show how to use the table tagging tool, but we do have another video in our YouTube channel on how to associate data cells with their row headers and column headers and so on in complex tables. So with that, this table is all set. I can go ahead back to my tag tree and just close that table tag, and then we can move on to the next page, and where we find a second very similar table but arranged a little bit differently. So again, selecting the paragraph tag that I want to put my new data table after after I tag it, and then going back to the toolbar, selecting the table tool again, because remember I had my tag selection tool chosen just a minute ago, and then I can go ahead and tag this table on the second page. Again, highlighting it on the page, and then again, PDFix did a really good job recognizing what should be in cells and so on. And in fact, food spanning 2 columns at the top left corner of this table. This is correct. However, I do see that there's a couple spots here that might need some touch up. For example, further down in the table, it looks like there's kind of a very narrow but extra row in here. I can just select one of those cells, right click on it, and then I can delete that row. Right? Notice from the context menu, I can delete rows, I can delete columns if I need to, or if PDFix missed a row or a column that, should have been in the table, I can easily add rows and columns as well. But in this case, that's an extra row, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that row. And then I also see that fruits and vegetables are split into 2 cells, and animal protein is split into 2 cells as well. So I'm going to go ahead, select fruits and vegetables, hold down the control key on my keyboard and select the cell below. And then I can just right click, and then I can merge these cells. And in fact, again, one of the things that I love about PDFix is you can create your own keyboard shortcuts. I've created a keyboard shortcut here to merge cells, right? If I'm working in a lot of tables, I might just select those cells and then just hit the keyboard shortcut to merge them, right? So in this case, I'll go ahead and hit that. We've got fruits and vegetables all in one. And then similarly for animal protein, go ahead and merge those cells as well. Now my table looks much better. I'll go ahead, again, hit the checkbox to tag this as a table, and we'll get our table tag in the tag tree. Again, I'm going to clean up the empty paragraph tags that were left behind. Go ahead and run that action real quick, and then check out our table. Right, so I'll go ahead and again choose my tag selection tool, and then select the cells going across the top. Verify that they are tagged as TH. And again, I can see that their scope is set to column, and I can even select the food TH and notice that the column span is set to 2, right? So we're good to go there. For my row headers, I can just go ahead and select the row headers from both columns all at once. And I'll notice in the tag tree, some TDs have been selected. And as I scroll down, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 THs here as well. But I want to make sure that they're all TH tags. So with all of those selected, go down to the properties and make sure that they're all marked as headers. Now I see a bunch of THs in my tag tree. And then, of course, set the scope to row, right? So we've checked our column headers and our row headers. I'll go ahead and select fruits and vegetables. I want to make sure that in this case their row span is correct, right? The column span is spanning just one column in this case, but the row span is set to 4. And similarly, I want to choose animal protein, that TH there, and its row span is also set to 4. So this table's all set. Again, I might want to link my data cells to my header cells. Please refer to that other video as needed. But as far as tagging this data table, marking the headers and so on, my table is good to go. I hope this has been helpful. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. If you are outside the US, you can reach us at support@pdfix.net. And if you're in the US, you can reach out to us at sales@pdfix-us.com. Thanks.